Hey guys, and welcome back to another YouTube video. In this video, I'll be going through my trade targets for round 9, as well as reviewing my round 8 trade target, in which it was a really good round. I mean, we ended up scoring 567 out of the 6 options that I provided. I did take a little bit of leniency and chose the best of the two rookies. Because Tierney went 12 and Mulder went 58. But we'll go through that, as well as go through and see which options were actually the best in defence, midfield, ruck and forward, and then also go through and look at the round 9 options, etc. So before we get into the video, remember to like and subscribe, turn the notification bell on so you know when I upload, and let's get into the video. So as you can see here, hopefully that works. Yes, it does. We had, as a defender last week, we went for Eamonson, which scored 79, which was the 4th best option. If I go here and go 4th best, the other, and she ended up going up, 35k? Yeah, she ended up going up 35k, which is a good amount, especially if you did that for like Priest or whatever, because that was roughly about even at that time, and now it's 235, 240k that you would have gapped there. Heads was another good option there at 88. She scored in the end, but I think the pick of the round would have been for defense would have been Walker at she ended up getting an 81. 81 score, and she went up, let's look here, was it 111k? Yeah, 111k. Which just is ridiculous, and that was the player of the round. But still, you can see there that's only a 2-point differential, so not even that bad. Then you've got here the next one. Conti was a 146, and she was top scorer, top mid for the round, which is really good. And then Bradell was down at like top 30 or whatever for the round, so not even that. Not that good, but yeah, certainly a tick on that one, and probably a cross on Riddell. And just looking through here, Riddell did save that massively, as that was going to be a horrific score originally. If I was to have selected probably another, I mean, that was my top tier pick, to be honest with you, but you could have gone Rowbottom as well. She did really well, Rowbottom. She went, what did she go? 1-2-1. You could have also gone like a Blackburn or I think, but the best option I believe for the round was Nanscorn. Nanscorn, who went and scored a 1-2-2, and that plus 170k would have been ridiculous cash gain compared to the likes of Riddell, who actually went down 25k, so that would have been a net plus 195k for the round. So Nanscorn and Conti were the best 2 options, and that would have been actually a plus 28 points. So yeah, that's already what we're going on. So I think those two, that would have put, yeah, because I wouldn't have said to go get Marinoff, who was the next highest scoring mid, and then Nanscorn was the tied 3rd highest scoring mid. So we were effectively so far 30 points off best available, basically. I mean, you could have, I'll just disregard that. But yeah, so we're like 30 points off best available at the moment. Then in the rucks, it was Moody. We went for Wales. Moody was the best option there. She went up 120k for a 135, which is just ridiculous, but Wales was still 2nd best. Which is really good. And also, yeah, so who would have seen what Moody did? Strom was 3rd best at 85, but even if you just take past Strom and Moody, Wales was 12 better than Seymour and Schultz, and then we get down even more, 24 better than Bella at like 6th best. So really good, but yeah, Moody was the player of the week with a 135, which ended up gaining her 120k. Which would have been a plus 45, which is again blowing out the margin of the total overall points, which we have here at 567, blowing that out to somewhere close to potentially a best of about about 700, I would say, is about the best that you could do with all these picks. But I still think that 567, anywhere around that 5 540 plus is a really good trade targets type of round score. So 135 from Moody, that was huge. And she does have the Essendon matchup, which will be interesting against Wales. They'll both, I think, take points off each other because they're both, she had the 46 hit-outs to get to the 135, so I think that'll take 20 or so hit-outs off there. And Wales had 40 against the Eagles, and I don't think any of the Eagles girls did more than about 20. So you're really going to see probably 20 off each of those two scores just in itself, and then you might see Moody take another little bit off just in terms of not getting as many touches or tackles, etc. I think Wales could hold around 70 or so, 75, but I think Moody will drop down to a 90 or so next round, so it'll be interesting to see if she still is the best ruckman score next round. Moving on to the forward line, and Too Good for 100 is the 5th best, so that's not even that bad, but Player of the Week, even though she was she was actually less expensive, which is Goldsworthy. And this is where it sort of does blow out a little bit. Goldsworthy went 168, and that gained her 242k. 242k. So yeah, that was plus 68 points, which is not the greatest in terms of my selections, but who would have thought Goldsworthy, when we came into the round, would score a 168? I mean, I brought her in because I thought she might be able to get 100, 105, something like that, because that's the way she plays. But didn't think she kicked 5 goals along with 12 tackles, 7 marks, and 22 touches or something like that. 24 touches it was in the end, as well as she got 3 free kicks forward just to add to the total. So obviously she was the best forward, and so 100 doesn't look too bad, but 68 points differential does add up as we get towards that, 73, 113, plus we said 30, so we're about 143 points off at the moment going into the rookies. And looking at the rookies here, the 300kers, you had Hartel at 60, was probably the best. Hartel, let's go here, Hartel 60, and she went up 70k from it. So that was huge from her. Bushby 53, you could have also looked at that as well. And I just want to say, the problem with Bushby, I think is, I would never have selected her off a 45% time on ground and 14 against the Swans to go up to a 45% time on ground for a 53. Wondering what's going on there. Syme as well went 51 as well. But that's all the 300kers. And then you go to the 400kers. And Morris Dalton, no one was ever going to select her as a forward, even though she pulled out a 78 for a 135,000 gain. O'Sullivan for a 100,000 gain. Don't know what position she's necessarily playing, whether she's actually on ball or not, but she gained 100k. So those were probably, and Nalder in the ruck as well was 65. But I don't really see anyone who's gaining specifically enough to really warrant a selection over Mulder. So that Mulder was probably the 2nd or 3rd best rookie, so we only lost 2 points there, bringing the total to a 145 loss in terms of points, which would be 572. 712 would be the optimal score for the round, which isn't even that bad. A 567 isn't that bad, considering I don't go for necessarily the top tier options, and the rookies can sort of just be a roll of the dice completely. But anyway, that pretty much runs through this section of the video, and now we go into the section where we actually go through and check for round 9 and see who we're going to select. So if we switch over there, so you can see obviously here with the Stannett, Heads, Walker, Emerson stuff, O'Shea. So the defenses is quite hard to pick, and the funny thing is, it doesn't seem like it's clicked across for some reason. No, it doesn't look like it's clicked across again. This thing is sort of frustrating a little bit. Does that work? Display capture. Hopefully that works. Let's just see. Hopefully that works now. There we go. So, as you can see now, the screen actually shows Stannett, Heads, Walker, Emerson, etc., and O'Shea. The funny thing is, I actually really like the look of O'Shea, to be honest with you. I think she could easily be the one that sort of goes unnoticed, I guess, a little bit. She's sort of put together a couple of really good games. Obviously has Adelaide, which will be a tough fixture, but put up a 79 against North Melbourne and is 695k, so I think she is definitely an option. I will also say that Hartel could be an option in defence as well. She put up a 60 as a 370k, and you can see in my team I've actually got her in there just because of the cash gem potential she possesses as the number 1 ruck, I believe she was last week, or was on the bench at least to do part of the ruck work. So if when teams get named later tonight and she is potentially part of the ruck team, that could be huge. I'm just trying to find where is they were last game of the round. Let's look at their team lineup for West Coast. And Hartel was named off half back, but as we know, she did play a massive role in the ruck. She was the second most hit-outs in the game behind the likes of Wales with 26. So that was a high hit-out game for her. And she laid 8 tackles as well. So she does play a little bit. If you actually look here and go over to DFS, hopefully they have the stats inputted for the last round, but I doubt that they will. Doesn't look like they do. But we can even just look at this. Hopefully this will work this way. We can go to, where's Hartel? Do they have it sort of? Here we go, Hartel. You can sort of see 5 games in season 8, and you can't really see terribly much from this, but you can see that she does play a little bit in the ruck. So it'll be interesting to see how teams are named and whether that actually is an option, but we'll see when teams are actually named what's the go with her, because if she is named over Wakefer as the number 1 ruck, then obviously that is a goal at 370k. But if she's still named a halfback, that might be a problem, because there could be a role could change just even though the team sheet hasn't changed. So I think the safest option for the trade targets this week would be O'Shea. If I just write it down, not in that pen, so we know, so we can get this thing next week is O'Shea. There we go. I think she could easily put up just anything over a 70 as a defender is really good. Like Amundsen's 79 was really good. So anything over 70 is really good. Next up we have the midfielders and the double mids. So I could easily just say, yeah, go Conti or something like that. Go Blackburn, but she's got tag potential there. Nanscorn, Shearer, Rowbottom, Swanson, Sparkus is another good option, I think. No one else here really. I mean, Hurley went huge, but I don't expect her to follow that up. You got the North girls against Adelaide. That'll be a huge matchup. And I'm not really liking too many options, to be honest. I mean, I really like whenever a team plays Port, as they don't tag and they're not generally the best team. If I get rid of the defenders there. So just trying to go through and figure this out. I probably still just go on the reliable Rowbottom, as she's consistently putting up 100 plus scores, which is good enough. You could go for Prasparkas again as well. She did put up a 114 against West Coast, which kind of makes me lean on, is Blackburn going to be good enough? And I still think Blackburn is good enough. So if I'm going to pick a player, I'd probably... How's Lamb going? Or is that just an outlier game? That's just an outlier game. I do like Prasparkas, as I don't think Richmond will tag. I might actually go for the Prasparkas double here, as I just think that would be fun to go for a double of the Prasparkas girls, but I also think it's going to be... they could easily score really well this week. I know Georgie isn't having the best season, but I think she can come back pretty strong in this week. Then we move on to the rucks, and it'll be interesting with this one, who we go for, because there's obviously the big three of Moody, Wales, and Strom, and then it falls away. So you sort of have to go, well, which one's going to be the best of these three? And Strom has if we go over here and go to, have they changed back? They have to Gillard and Pearce. So she has this matchup, and Gillard didn't play in the ruck. Pearce played in the ruck, got 18 hit outs. So if we time to go back to DFS and figure out what went on in that round 8 game, the Melbourne game, to figure out why the hitouts were so skewed. If we go over to here, North Melbourne, who did they play as a ruck? Campbell and Zanka. So if they do that again, she's going to do really well. So I'm actually going to pick Strom here as I think the ruckman of the week, as I think she could easily put up a huge number, as she's playing at ruck line that isn't as set in stone, and she got 30 odd hitouts last week, 19 against the Cats, but that was because they had like a triple ruck of just 180 centimetre, like huge girls. Did well against North, did well against Richmond, pretty well against Richmond, and then dominated Essendon, and Collingwood and the Eagles struggled against the Hawks, which was surprising, but I think Strom will be the best ruckman, as I think these two will also take points off each other. Then we go to the forward line, and it's tough not to pick the likes of Goldsworthy just because of how she did last week, because she did end up scoring a 168 if I flick it over to the forward line. But do I expect her to score a 168 this week? I don't really obviously expect that at all. I expect her to drop back to the sort of 100 or so range, which would be respectable again. But we got to sort of look for the forward that's going to do best. And too good, obviously, against Carlton. You do have Gardner and Malloy against the Swans, and I think that'll be a decent matchup. So I'm probably... Gardner's just out and out the best. I do like actually, I am actually going to do this. I think Frederick is the option to go for, not only just because I've traded her in, I should say, but just because you look at the Swans' ruck line, and it isn't necessarily the greatest with Moffat out injured. So I think that Frederick could absolutely dominate the game against the Swans and have something like 40 hitouts, as she had against Geelong, and easily put up a 110, 120 against the Swans, as they're just missing Moffat, which sort of sucks. But I think that is the best forward option of the week. Then we go on to the rookies, and the rookies this week, I think you could go Hartel again, just because she has a bigger role than most. If we go over to all, and then we go to the 300k range. So I think you could go Simon, Hartel, and I think that's sort of the options that I will sort of put forward. I know that they are the players that I've traded in, and that's sort of a cop-out, but I think Hartel could easily go and score another 60 or 70, and Syme could easily put together a score which will be sort of good enough to get some upgrade here, as she's playing Hawthorn, and if we look at the midfield minutes, and she actually does get midfield minutes, and I wouldn't be surprised if she scores well. But that is pretty much the video there. I somehow got through that relatively quickly. The trade targets for round 9, a longer review on round 8, which probably isn't the type of form that I want to go through. I want to be more actively looking into the round rather than more time spent on reviewing the previous round. But anyway, that will be something that I hope to change over in the next video. And yeah, so that is the video, and I'll see you guys in the women's tips for round 9 video coming up soon. Bye guys.